Hello, welcome. My name is JesseMcDesign. Today we're going to be making this custom tombstone prop from foam. Let's get started. Alright, so this weekend we're going to be spending most of our time on the floor because we're going to be building this fairly decent sized tombstone out of foam, and I'm already kind of covered in little foam bits, which is like the only really thing I hate about doing foam is you get those little particles everywhere. But I got hit up by someone I knew from high school. They're looking to get a custom tombstone made for their company for like advertisement type things, I believe, just like a little prop for whatever. I'm not really sure exactly what they're doing with it. I assume like photos and stuff. They had this logo already kind of made for a thing. It had a longer bottom with like rocks and all that, but they just want the tombstone created. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna outline this exactly so it's exactly like their logo. It's gonna be a perfect match, and we're gonna transfer that onto each of these panels so it'll end up being about 2 inches thick. And the quick plan is we're gonna have 3 layers of just this main outline, and then on the third face, all this black, this border and all these letters will be carved in, and then same with their logo right here. It's a little M with a CC, and then this circle around it, and then this border edge we're gonna cut out separately so it'll be raised from the edge, and then all this stuff will be carved in. And then we're gonna also add these little cracks and stuff to make it look a little old and weathered. And then after we get all those pieces cut out, we'll glue it together, and then we'll do all these carbons and all that, and then do a nice paint job to make it look real. Oh, we're also gonna do a quick base, which is gonna be a rectangle that we're gonna basically just set part of this into, which actually reminds me, I want to raise this a little bit so we can set the base into like a flat, just stone, square stone, right? So it can stand up freely and not, you know, fall over or anything. But it should be easy enough, so let's get started. So we got our main structure here. It's about 3 inches thick. We have this nice little lip on the edge there. And then we went with 3 sheets thickness for the base, and I simply cut a hole all the way through and just slotted it through, but we are probably gonna cut some of this out of the base to add some sort of weight. I don't know if I might have some random chunks of steel I can fit in here that'll add some weight to it, or I don't know, maybe some like rocks or something. I'm gonna have to look around and see what I have, but I'm also probably most likely gonna add a few stakes, removable stakes as well, because they requested that they're gonna be doing like a photo shoot type thing or whatever it is outside. And I was thinking about this as I was building this, that it would probably be a good idea to add some sort of weight or something. So I'll probably do a little bit of both, and that should just take care of it. So now that we have this all glued up, I've been letting this sit for a little while, probably about half hour, 45 minutes or so. And what we're gonna do now is I actually cut out this little round piece you saw, and that's gonna be this ring around their logo. So I'm probably gonna work on that now, just because it's just like a tedious piece that's gonna be kind of annoying to do, and I might as well just get it over with before we start really carving into this thing here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just trace out that line all the way around to get our ring thickness, I suppose. And then we'll cut that out, and then I'm gonna round this top edge, since it's like it's gonna be more precise, because you know, a blade might wiggle back and forth. Since I'm doing this by hand, I don't really have like a scroll saw or anything I can really, but we'll round the top, and then we'll probably slice it along this way so it's not so it doesn't pop out as far as this border does. We'll probably do about half of that, because we're going to be carving this detail in, and I don't want to be super popped out and then that's carved in too much. I think it'll look a little weird. I think it'll be better if we cut this piece in half and just have like just the slightest raised edge around that piece there. So let's just get started on this ring. Alright, so I glued in some random metal scraps I had and then filled the rest of the void with these little pebbles just to add some weight. It's basically nonsense. You can just fill it with whatever you have that's obviously has some weight to it. What I'm going to do now is mix up some body filler, or you might call it Bondo, but that's just like the brand name. And I'm gonna level out this base around these little rods. And then I'll take them out as that hardens, and I'm gonna cut removable rods that can be put in and out if need be. We also got pretty much all of most of the detail already done. We got the logo cut out, the little ring around the edge, we got the little cracks everywhere, and we got the main border of the word plaque area. So after we fill up the base, we'll let that harden. It's pretty quick, and then we're gonna start just cutting out these letters to do the final carving. And then after that, we'll go ahead with some more body filler and just clean up these sides so they're nice and smooth. You don't see the seams or nothing. And then we'll also go in and clean up some of these letters a little bit, make them look a little bit smoother and a little bit cleaner. And then we'll start moving on to painting. Alright, we're about to start spraying this thing. I went and sanded everything. I went and got the letters a little bit smoother than they were. I just wiped it down. What I'm going to do now is take this tin foil and just crumple it up in a ball, and I'm just going to roll it across this thing, and I'm hoping it'll create a little bit of a texture. I think it will. It might not. This is kind of a harder panel board, but either way, we're just gonna head on outside. I think it's warm enough, and we're gonna do a light coat of like a grayish primer just to see what we got going on. And as long as it looks halfway decent, we'll go ahead and spray our rock texture, and then we might go on top of that with a gray and or a white. Again, just to get some texture, and then I'll probably end up coming back and doing some hand painting, and then we'll do a final coat of like a satin clear or a matte clear to keep it nice and sealed, but still we'll do matte so it still looks like a rock and, you know, dull and everything. So let's do this final little roll with this tin foil, see if we can't get a little bit of a texture going on, and then we'll get some spray paint on this thing. Well, I thought I ruined it, if I'm being honest. I went to spray this thing, and the spray paint started eating away at the foam, which isn't the greatest. You'll be seeing right now that it looks very, very rough, and I wasn't going for perfect, obviously, but I ended up sending the customer the basically what you saw in photos, and they said it's all right. So they weren't going for perfect either. They actually wanted it to be more distressed like this than I was originally going for, and it's clearly like legible and everything. You can still read it, just fine. Their logo still looks like their logo and everything. It didn't completely get crazy, but I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed. But what we're gonna do is go over and just give this thing another quick rough sand and try and smooth some of this stuff out, which I know we will be able to at least a little bit, and I think it'll make it look a lot better. And just clean up some of these rough edges that kind of popped up with all of that happening. And then we'll come back and give this thing a final paint coat by hand with a brush, and we'll just kind of, you know, have fun with it. We'll do a little bit of a splatter to make it look like a rock and everything. So let's clean this up, get this in final paint, and get some final shots of this thing. Hey, check it out. Just made this custom tombstone out of foam in about 3 days. Check it out. Well, despite almost having a panic attack there in the middle with the spray paint, ordeal, the customer decided to just go on with it. They wanted it more distressed than I was planning on doing, and in the end, I'm pretty happy with it actually. I was able to smooth out a few rough edges that appeared, and with the paint job being kind of messy and stone-like anyway, it kind of hid some of those blemishes and stuff, and it actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. You can still read the little message and the logo is still visible. It is a little bit glossy. I did put a coat of matte clear on this a few hours ago, so it's still kind of curing, and it'll mellow out and be a little less shiny in a few more days. But like I just said, overall super happy with it. With the weight in it, I can, you know, it kind of keeps itself in place. I did also cut a couple of those little rods to, I'm gonna give them, and they can kind of stick them in the butt of this thing if they want. There's a few holes still there. You can see one there, and there's another down here, and they can just slip those up in there if you want it to be extra secure. But for a last minute project, super happy with it. It came together pretty well. They hit me up Thursday afternoon, and I usually have Fridays off, so, and was going to Home Depot anyway, so I was able to knock this thing out in a couple days for them. But if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, it really helps. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe. I'm always over here doing some sort of creative project, some sort of prop, traditional painting, home decor, who knows. Leave it in the comments below what I should do next. See you on the next one.